What's up, guys? Alex Corey with Cultivated Change here. We are back with the last series, or the last part in our series of In a Hurry, and today is leg day. This is gonna suck. Okay. This isn't specifically two exercises, it does focus around two. Like the previous videos, which I'll link here, the goal is to do a very brief warm-up, do a warm-up of some sort, especially if you're doing this in the morning like I was today. Going in completely cold, you need to do something to warm your lumbar spine up and to get your knees and joints ready for the amount of pressure you're going to put on them. My ideals for leg day, and I'm repping the Athlete Neck shirt today because one of my favorite leg warm-ups and hip openers is the multi-planar lunge, which we'll get to. It's one of the exercises Jeff Cavalier over at Athlete Neck introduced me to. So to start, do some cardio if you can. If you can't, I would prefer the hyperextension just because it warms your posterior chain up, so it gets your lumbar spine mobile. If you can, curve under like you see me doing here. Don't just go straight up and down, but actually tuck under for full spinal extension and flexion, and then immediately preceding that, once your glutes and your hamstrings and your low back are primed, don't just go straight up and down, but actually tuck under for full spinal extension and flexion, and then immediately preceding that, once your glutes and your hamstrings and your low back are primed, go into a multi-planar lunge. And multi-planar just being a sagittal, frontal, transverse plane. So a single lunge out to the front, back, to the side, back, and then transverse would be a little cockeye, so off to the side and back. Working all angles of your hips, try to get your hips mobile and as much room in there as possible. If you can't do that based on mobility issues, if you can do a squat, a ball squat against a wall, just something to get your hips firing, that's perfect too. The first exercise that I'm going to choose here, that I do in the morning, is going to be a sumo deadlift. My low back twinges easily just because I've had a history of low back pain. So I will do a deadlift first because it is the most heavy hitting exercise you'll find for your posterior chain. That's your hamstrings and your glutes and your low back predominantly. The sumo deadlift lets you do that with a good amount of weight without most of the risk of a regular deadlift. To do that, I would prefer if you go higher sets first, like we usually do, higher reps rather. You won't be able to go 15 to 20 just because it's the deadlift and your nervous system's gonna get fried. So I will choose a weight I can do maybe 10 to 12 reps on, and then I'll immediately add weight and then do 6 to 8, and then my heavy set will be a 3 to 6. So that's definitely a strength range. And then if you wanna burn out your posterior chain, lessen the weight and go back up to somewhere in 6 to 10 range, just to make sure you've exhausted that. If your lower back is feeling okay and your legs aren't toast because first thing in the morning, I really like the squat machine. And this isn't a squat rack and it's not a Smith machine. Both of those are great. I like this squat machine I'm showing you because the motion is almost the exact same as a regular squat, and you can move your feet whichever width you like. I will put my feet closer together, so just hip width apart. Because the sumo deadlift is so wide, I'll bring it back to a narrow stance and try to get some of those, the interior muscles, medial muscles of my quads. And same thing, I start light with this, although you're lifting the entire machine, so you're gonna do about your body weight anyway. So I'm gonna do about 150 pounds. Do that full range of motion, and the starting ones I really like going down just below 90 degrees. So sitting a little more than you would on a squat, that really activates my glutes, and I can feel my entire leg and hip musculature pushing, and I do a full range of motion. Once you feel that, you can increase weight and then vary the width and the muscles you're going to hit in your quads accordingly. So whatever you don't feel sore or working or getting tired, either change the angle of your feet or change the width of your feet, and that dictates which specific quad muscles get priority. They all get worked, hamstrings as well, but you can dictate which quad muscles, there's 4 quad muscles obviously, you put your focus on just by angles. Do that 5 sets, like I said, same pyramid scheme. If you're not dead after that, or if you have time, I really like the wall squat. This is just a burnout. This is reminiscent of, I don't know if anyone else had to do this, but my biology teacher, for some reason, in explaining to us how lactic acid worked, would have us sit against a wall, legs perpendicular or at 90 degrees, parallel to the ground, and just push against the wall and for as long as you can, and you will quickly, about 45 seconds or quicker, depending on how much rest you've taken, feel lactic acid. Your legs, your quads will be on fire. So your call how long you do this, but I do it just as a burnout to prove to myself that I did leg day. Basically, you just fight it until you start falling to the ground. If you want to make it harder, hold some weights next to you and then just drop them whenever you start fatiguing, but I didn't have the time this morning. That's it. Just a really heavy, quick leg day. Obviously, it doesn't hit everything, but if you only have 20, 30 minutes, that's plenty. My legs are on fire right now still, and they will be tomorrow. That concludes our In a Hurry series. If you'd like more specific body parts, so a shoulder in a hurry, an arm in a hurry, anything like that, let me know, or else I will see you back in the gym. Until next time.